HBO has been coming out with banger after banger. At what point do you, as DC being the dumpster fire that you've been, just go over there and go, guys, we notice you guys are crushing it. What's working?
Simple.
What's up, world? Welcome back to Cancel Thoughts. It's your boy Better Days here. Supergirl is flopping at the box office, guys, and for whatever reason, there are still people who are surprised by this, which doesn't necessarily make any sense to me because anybody who pays attention to superhero movies and the superhero genre in general saw this coming from a mile away, but it always amazes me how mainstream media and just like Hollywood in general tries to kind of package it as misogyny or sexism or whatever. So I have this video from NBC News titled Supergirl Flop Raises Questions About Superhero Fatigue and Sexism that I want to go over really quickly. Before I get into it though, guys, if I by the end of this video earn you guys a subscription, do me a solid and like the video and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a couple of seconds and it helps out more than you guys realize. That being said, let's get right into it.
Supergirl, the latest comic book adaptation from Warner Brothers and DC Studios, falling short of expectations its first week out.
Who expected this movie to do well? I'm really confused. You guys made a movie for an audience that quite literally doesn't exist, and now you guys are wondering why it's falling short of your financial expectations. You should have known off rip that this movie was going to lose money before you even made it, especially when you chose the storyline that you guys chose.
Earning less than $50 million domestically so far, and now could potentially lose $100 million, according to Variety. The flop raising questions ahead of what's usually a summer blockbuster weekend. Can America not handle female superheroes, or is there something else going on?
Her performance in a vacuum is fantastic. It's just unfortunate that the movie itself is a vacuum.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Please, God, explain.
Like, am I the only person who hears statements like that and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, all these people are always trying to sound like they have this new intuitive take or whatever, and what they end up sounding like is somebody who doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Oh, the movie itself is a vacuum, but her in a vacuum was a really good actress and she did great. It's like, huh? What are you talking about? The movie was bad. She was the lead of the movie. Therefore, she was also bad. Like, I just don't understand that whatsoever. And it really bothers me that they're always like trying to blame like flops like this on sexism or misogyny or whatever. But when it comes to movies like Wonder Woman who do great, they never say anything about sexism whatsoever. No, this is a bad movie problem. This was a movie that was created for an audience that didn't exist problem. And now you guys are trying to blame people for not liking the thing that you didn't make for them to like in the first place.
After last year's reboot of Superman, Supergirl follows his lesser-known cousin, Kara Zor-El, played by actress Millie Alcock.
Follows his lesser-known cousin. So quite literally, you guys are saying that Supergirl is a side character. Side characters quite literally cannot hold up an entire movie. So you guys made a movie about a side character and are wondering why people aren't gravitating towards it. It's like, no, nobody cares about Supergirl if it's not in the context of Superman. If you guys wanted her to actually be a real part of the DC universe, you guys would have had her be a bigger part of the Superman movie. And just as an aside, I hated that Superman movie. That Superman movie was awful in my opinion. Okay, there were some people, I get it, that liked that movie or whatever,
which is fine.
But I thought it was awful. I think it came out around the same time as Fantastic Four, and Fantastic Four to me blew it out the water, even though Superman is the much more famous character. And I, side note, am somebody who likes DC Comics far more than I like Marvel. And I recognize that that movie of Superman that came out exactly the same day, I believe because I watched them on the same day, was just far inferior to Fantastic Four, and there's no way around it.
My cousin and I have very different ideas about what it means to be a hero.
The production, and Alcock facing flack before its release, with some fans making fun of Alcock's appearance online. Even former Superman actor Dean Cain replying he laughed at the insults.
And there's been immense scrutiny, not about her ability to play the character or about her performance, but of her appearance, which simply doesn't happen in the same way for male actors in this space.
You always want to pay attention to the people who are making some of these comments. So like the lady there, she's talking about how there's a lot of commentary about her appearance, which doesn't happen for males in the same superhero genre or whatever. Yes, of course not. Because one, men, whether you like it or not, are the market for superheroes. They don't care about the appearance of other males because they're not physically attracted to them in most cases. Okay? When it comes to a woman in that space, yes, it is a different criteria because they want to see women who are attractive on screen. So whether you like it or not, appearance is going to matter. That's number one. But number two, as I mentioned earlier, you always want to pay attention to the people who are making the points about appearance because, of course, they're going to have problems with people talking about appearance because she was an overweight girl talking about people's appearance. Clearly, you have a problem with people talking about appearance because you're overweight and you clearly don't care about your own appearance. We need to stop tiptoeing around these conversations and we need to just start being very direct about what we're seeing here, okay? This was a movie that was set up to fail from the beginning.
Period.
Personally, I think Millie Alcock isn't an unattractive person, but it also seems to me like there's a concerted effort toward making people who are somewhat attractive unattractive in these movies and then pointing at the audience and going, oh, you guys are talking about her appearance. Yeah, we're talking about her appearance because we've seen her be attractive in shows like House of the Dragon, but for whatever reason, you guys have done everything in your power to make her look unattractive in Supergirl. It doesn't make any sense to us, and we're pointing it out.
The actress telling Vanity Fair that her role on the Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, prepared her for some of the hate, saying, quote, simply existing as a woman in that space is something that people comment on, adding, quote, we have become very comfortable having this weird ownership of women's bodies. Those comments.
That is a completely invalid statement. Your role on House of the Dragon prepared you for the scrutiny. People loved her in House of the Dragon. Like, what are you talking about? See, this is the stuff that let's just continue, bro. This is going to piss me off a little bit too much.
And the growing chorus of critics setting up a debate about misogyny in the current state of media. It's been decades since Xena, Warrior Princess. But female heroes haven't quite slayed at the box office.
All of the standalone girl movies are not good and not well handled, and that's a real bummer.
With superheroes,
it's not a real bummer. It just is what it is. People need to make good movies. If you're going to have a female superhero, the movie has to be good. You can't just be trying to have representation or whatever. And I'm going to keep coming at this because I think modern superhero movies right now have three major problems, but two real problems, okay? The first one is they don't know their audience whatsoever. At least a large majority of them don't know their audience. And that audience is men. Men do not want to see insufferable girl bosses on superhero screens or whatever trying to fight crime or beat up people, especially when real women don't actually do that. That's number one. Number two, the other problem that they have is that there's a contingent of them who knows the audience but is trying to change the audience, and the audience that they're trying to change the audience to doesn't like superhero movies in the first place. So you guys have like a bit of a catch-22 here where it's like you're trying to like market to new audiences, but those new audiences don't care about science fiction. They don't care about superhero movies. Men are the ones who care about superhero movies, and you need to market to them. Otherwise, your movies are going to continue to fail. And until you learn this lesson, that's just what it's going to be, okay? When I saw that clip of Millie talking about how this isn't centered around a man or love or whatsoever, I'm like, it needs to be. Like, what are you talking about? This isn't centered around any kind of love story. Like, in what superhero movies do you see where the male superhero doesn't have a love interest? Like, what are you talking about? You guys are trying to come into a space and change that space and wondering why the space isn't changing to fit your specifications. Like, stop it.
Hero movies dominating over the past 2 decades. There are really only 2 with heroine leads, Wonder Woman in 2017 and Captain Marvel in 2019, that were commercial hits. But once
Captain Marvel was not a commercial hit, okay? Captain Marvel was just good because it was sandwiched in between Endgame and Infinity War, and people were going to watch whatever Marvel put out at that point. Captain Marvel was a bad movie. Objectively speaking, nobody liked Brie Larson in it. And listen, Brie Larson isn't a bad person. She's not a bad actress. I've actually seen her in other things. But the way they wrote that character and really a lot of this falls at the feet of the writers because they keep writing these terrible characters that nobody wants to see. And then the actors are given a script that's terrible that they have to kind of adapt, and people are coming at the actors when really the writers are the ones who should be getting a lot of this criticism, okay? All of this stuff can be laid at the feet of that. They're writing bad movies, and people are reacting to those bad movies by not going to watch them, and then they're claiming that these people are misogynistic or they're sexist or they hate women in movies. It's like, no, Wonder Woman was an objectively good movie, and guess what? Wonder Woman has a love interest in that movie. The dude in there was allowed to be useful. Obviously, Wonder Woman's the main character. She doesn't necessarily take away from his character development at all. He doesn't take away from her character development. It just kind of works. But when you guys try to have these feminist kind of ideological films and then try to market it to men are just like rejecting it. Like, that's just what it is. It's not changing. It's never going to change. You need to learn that, or you're going to keep losing hundreds of millions of dollars on movies.
Supergirl hit theaters, other narratives emerged. It earned a rotten rating, slammed for its writing, with one popular reviewer calling Supergirl a, quote, heroine rendered powerless by scriptonite. And audiences generally haven't been gravitating to superhero films quite as much in recent years, no longer dominating the silver screen like they did just a few years ago when Avengers Endgame shattered records with a $1.2 billion global debut.
Because the movies have been objectively horrible. I don't think there is a superhero fatigue. I think there is a bad movie fatigue, and it's infecting all of Hollywood. All of this stuff outside of even the superhero movies, all of them are seeing very, very low numbers when people are noticing that you guys are continuing to push ideological messages in all of the movies. People are just rejecting it. It's a bad movie fatigue, and superheroes are just a casualty of that. If you guys start making good superhero movies again, people will go start watching those movies again. Like, what's coming up right now? Spider-Man is coming up right now. Spider-Man is going to be a hit because Tom Holland is a good actor, and the last couple of Spider-Man movies have been great. It's going to do well. Avengers Doomsday, I don't necessarily know about. I think it's going to do well, but the stuff that Marvel in particular has been coming out with, and really DC as well, but Marvel in particular, because they're the ones who kind of kickstarted all these ideological movies or whatever, they've been doing really bad when it comes to things like Eternals was terrible. What was the other ones that I was really, really disappointed? Multiverse of Madness. I was super excited about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I went there, watched it in theaters, and I was completely disappointed. I wanted to leave halfway through, but I was so mad that I had paid my money that I just sat there and just watched it to the end. But that movie was disappointing. Shang-Chi, terrible. I don't know who that movie was for. And really everything that they've been coming out with out of Marvel for the last couple of years, like 5 or 6 years, at least it looks like they're trying to correct course, because Fantastic Four First Steps was a good movie. I know it kind of underperformed a little bit, but I think that was because of all of the kind of goodwill being lost from the superhero genre, that people were just kind of like, I'm not going to necessarily go watch this. But I thought it was actually a good movie. I loved the way they did Galactus. The CGI was great. All the VFX, it was spot on, but people didn't go watch it because you guys have already lost all your good faith.
And Black Panther brought Marvel one of its best opening weekends ever.
This ends today.
Now the conversation is more about superhero fatigue than soaring successes. Last year, only 2 superhero movies broke into the top 10 at the domestic box office. A big flip from just 5 years back when action flicks grabbed the top 4 spots, including.
And the only reason Superman was top 3 is because Superman worldwide is just a more famous character. He's the most famous superhero character there is out there. That's the only reason that movie went in the top 5 or whatever. Outside of that, that movie was just objectively bad. And really, I'm going to talk about James Gunn at the end of this, but I just want to talk about Superman just for a quick second, because I never really got a chance to make this video, okay? Superman was kind of like a side character in his own movie. And you were kind of just like, wait, what is going on here? Like, the character development was super poor. There's Green Lanterns, and there's like these, who is it, Mr. Terrific, or like all these other like side characters that you're just kind of like, this is a movie that's supposed to be centered around Superman. Develop the character of Clark Kent in this universe and this iteration of it first before you start introducing us to people like his drunk cousin or Mr. Terrific or these kind of obscure characters like the Green Lantern that we saw. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, who is developing this plan? And James Gunn obviously is the person, and I'll come to him at the end of this, but they need to rejigger all of Warner Brothers, really. Well, not really all of Warner Brothers, but all of DC. They need to just tear that down to the studs and just rebuild.
Including Black Widow, which squeaked into the pandemic-depressed leaderboard.
If the superhero genre is going to continue, it has to be better than this.
With some highly highly anticipated superhero releases on the horizon, time will tell if a woman hero will swoop in and save the day. Steve.
I want to just lastly talk about James Gunn, like I said, because the moves that he's made over the last, how long has he been head of DC? Like 2 years or something, are some of the most perplexing things I've ever seen, okay? The first thing you do is you get rid of Henry Cavill, who, for the flaws of the Man of Steel movie that he made and the Batman versus Superman movie or whatever, he looks the part, and I personally don't think that Henry Cavill was the reason that those movies flopped, because he actually did well acting in those movies, okay? The script, as a lot of them are, was just really, really bad. That's number one. But you get rid of Henry Cavill, which was a fan favorite. People didn't understand that. If you were going to do something like that, the Superman that you put in there, which David I think his name is David Cornsweet. He's not a bad Superman per se, but the movie had to have been so good that people were like, okay, we kind of get why you got rid of Henry Cavill. But when you have an objectively mid movie, which I think was an objectively bad movie, but it was a mid movie by what people are saying online, you then follow it up with Supergirl. It's like, one, who asked for Supergirl? Like, who was the audience for Supergirl? You could, and by the way, they could have even made a better Supergirl movie. They didn't have to adapt the story that they adapted, okay? They could have made a Supergirl movie, because I'm thinking of, I don't necessarily know which comic it was, but it was a story where Kara Zor-El goes to Earth to look for Clark Kent, and who comes following Kara Zor-El is Darkseid. Okay, Darkseid shows up on Earth. He beats the shit out of Kara, and like Clark comes in and he kind of saves her or whatever. And they could have adapted that story for a big screen, and it would have been much more well received than whatever the hell this garbage was. And they chose to not adapt that story, and now people are upset about that. Okay, so you're also building out this universe or whatever with characters that nobody really cares about, while ignoring the characters that are kind of the mainstays of the DC comic universe, okay? All you needed to do was come out with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash movie, Justice League movie. And then you can start kind of introducing a lot of some of the side characters. But if you don't do that, you start coming out with all of these creature commandos and all these Peacemaker. Like, nobody cares about that. And I think it's because James Gunn's strength is having these obscure characters. Obviously, people know him for Guardians of the Galaxy, which everybody kind of loved, and that's kind of his wheelhouse. But when you're in charge of a studio and IPs like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, you have to use those characters because they already have a built-in audience and people love that. You can't start off a DC universe with some nonsense like Supergirl following a very, very mid Superman movie. You just can't have that. And I know some people are going to say in my comments down below that you can't have Darkseid show up this early. And I kind of understand that, and I kind of agree with you guys. But DC doesn't have time right now. They don't have time with the audience. They've burnt all the goodwill that they had from the audience. They don't have time to build up to a big bad like Darkseid. He needs to come in and save the day immediately for them to even have a profitable quarter to be able to kind of pitch their investors on, hey guys, we're at least seeing some progress with this universe or whatever. Without that, DC is going to die. And the last kind of point that I want to make that really, really confuses me with all of Warner Brothers is this, okay? Warner Brothers owns DC Comics. They own HBO, right? For the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years, and really for its entire existence, but let's just focus on the last 10 to 15 years, DC Comics has been a dumpster fire, while across the hall, HBO has been coming out with hit after hit after hit, and it's just been crushing it, okay? House of the Dragon, side note, season 3, phenomenal, okay? Some of the best TV I've seen over the last, let's call it, handful of years, okay? First couple of episodes so far started off with a banger. Episode 2, banger. I'm like expecting episode 3 to also be a banger. We're there. How is it that HBO is doing so well on the TV show tip and on the media tip, but DC is such a dumpster fire? At what point does the head of DC go to the head of HBO and just ask questions? Is there so much pride that you guys have in that you're controlling all of this to where you're seeing HBO have successful? And listen, I get it. Game of Thrones season 7 and season 8 weren't great, but for the most part, HBO has been coming out with banger after banger. At what point do you, as DC being the dumpster fire that you've been, just go over there and go, guys, we notice you guys are crushing it. what's working.
Simple.
Like, I just don't understand that whatsoever. Do you guys not talk? Do you guys not have meetings? Like,
What the hell are you doing?
and do you not understand that a big part of why Warner Brothers had to put themselves up for sale and is now ultimately being purchased and acquired by Paramount is because DC was losing tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on almost every single release that they had? And if you're HBO, listen, I get it, you guys are doing your own thing, but that's ultimately not necessarily good for you either, because Paramount's going to probably have changes that they want to make to how you guys kind of conduct some of your business. Some of your positions might be eliminated because they might become redundancies. It doesn't make sense to me how people don't necessarily recognize this. And listen, I understand that there's some level of competition between studios. There should be some level of competition because you guys obviously want to be best, but there should be healthy competition, not competition where we're doing great, you guys are a dumpster fire, and we're just watching you guys sink lower and lower, because at the end of the day, that has the potential to affect us as well, and it's going to affect you guys at some point in the future. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about this video, and if you've seen Supergirl already, is it something that's even worth going to go see in theaters? I personally haven't seen it yet, and I have no intentions of going to go see it. I'll probably just see it on digital when it comes out or whatever, but let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about it. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this video. You guys could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate you.
If you liked what you heard today, do me a solid and like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Those things really do help out the channel a lot, guys. And if you didn't like what you heard, thanks for allowing me to occupy your time. Consider leaving a comment in the comments down below, letting me know exactly what it was that you disagreed with, and maybe we could talk about it. Either way, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for pressing play on this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.